In this video, I discuss 5 things that could be ruining your retirement, coming up on the Fed Corner. One of the most interesting things about being a retirement planner is seeing different families with very similar situations, but totally different results. These are families with similar amounts of income and wealth and even lifestyle, but with completely different results and trajectory of their retirement plan. So when we look deeper at what's causing these families to have a less than ideal retirement plan, there are often very common mistakes that we see that, when corrected, can redirect their retirement plan towards success. And this can really help a family feel more confident about their financial independence. So let's jump in. The first element that we see are families often not being mindful of their cash flow. Your cash flow is really the heartbeat of your retirement. These are the dollars that are going into your wealth and into your family versus the dollars that are going out because you're spending on things like lifestyle, retirement, vacations, and so forth. When you're working, you know exactly how much your agency is paying you, how much is going to the TSP, and how much is going to hit your bank account. So it might be easier to think about how much you can and can't be spending. In fact, as household income grows, we often find that a lot of people don't even need to budget too much because there's just sufficient cash flow that comes in to basically handle any of their expenses that they have. And often, the more a family makes, the more spending they're able to do. And we call this lifestyle creep. But in retirement, this can be dangerous. When you stop working, now you have a finite pile of money or sources that are generating this income for your retirement paychecks. For our clients, we always want to make sure that we understand what is the number that they are safely able to spend without jeopardizing their financial independence. And there are many ways to do this, but typically looking at some form of cash flow report will help you understand what are the dollars coming in and what are the dollars coming out. It's pretty normal for retirees to have more dollars coming out than coming in because, well, you're not working anymore. However, your portfolio can only make up so much of your spending plus keeping up with inflation, so you have to be careful. Most people want to keep the lifestyle that they have now, but is that really possible? With the right plan, it absolutely can be, but don't assume that you can just cruise into retirement without having put forth the thought and coming up with a plan on how you're going to meet your income needs. If you're haphazard about it, you could get yourself in trouble. Next up is not knowing how to minimize your taxes. Tax evasion is illegal, but tax avoidance is smart. Every financial decision that you make in retirement comes with a tax consequence. So why wouldn't you incorporate tax planning in your retirement plan? This is a big thing for our clients because every dollar not spent on taxes is more money that you get to spend yourself or continue growing. We've seen far too many retirement plans not incorporate tax planning into the mix, and often they cost themselves more money in taxes than was really necessary. Another way to look at this, they cost themselves more opportunities to go out and spend their money on doing things that really make them happy. If you were to think about all of the different ways your money is taxed, how do you come up with your retirement income? In retirement, you need to have an income system that's constantly adjusting to meet your income needs while keeping taxes low. If you think about the different piles of money that you have, each one of these is taxed in a different manner. And if you were to put together your income for that month or that year, all from traditional retirement accounts or tax deferred, then you can expect that every dollar that comes out is fully taxable. On the other hand, if you were to take income from tax-free vehicles, then none of that would be taxed and you'd be in a very low bracket for that year. The challenge is then you could get to a place where all of your money is taxed, and now you could be stuck in a higher tax bracket later in life. This is particularly true when you hit the magic age for RMDs, or required minimum distributions. So the key is that what is the combination of income systems that's going to allow you to keep your taxes as low as possible for as long as you can. We have another video that shows you how to be thinking about this, and I'll make sure the team puts the link for that video in the show notes. Before I do the next one, if any of this has been interesting so far, hit the like button for us so that other federal employees get to see this too. The next point is being afraid to take risk with your money in retirement. Folks, you've heard me say this before. Inflation is the silent retirement killer. Over time, you'll need increasingly more money from your pot of gold in order to keep up with what your lifestyle will cost. Fortunately, your federal pension from FERS as well as Social Security both do receive cost of living adjustments, or COLAs, but you'll notice that the increase is never quite enough to cover the real increase of costs. This is where your portfolio has to do the heavy lifting. And very often we find that federal employees are often too conservative once they enter retirement. So as they're investing throughout their retirement, their portfolio might be growing, but really not that much. And on the other hand, their lifestyle expenses might be growing at a faster rate, which means at some point we might have a situation where you're just not keeping up with the cost of living and you could run out of money before running out of time. Now, it makes sense to be more conservative in retirement because as a federal retiree, you understand that you don't have time to recover if the markets are not performing well. But if you're not achieving the required growth rate for the success of your retirement plan, then you could have issues down the line. So how do we find out your required growth rate? Well, this is typically done through the process of retirement planning, as there's quite a bit that goes into figuring out the right number. But once you do know that, then you can create a series of buckets with your portfolio that allows you to invest your money with different time horizons and different objectives. For example, some of your money is always going to be inflation fighting. That's the part that's going to be more volatile, and that's not the part that you want to touch when the markets are down. Well, then how do you meet your short-term needs in retirement? Well, maybe you also have a short-term bucket. Does this mean it's totally cash? Well, some cash, yes, but not totally cash in most cases. You may consider things like short-term bonds, other sorts of investments that allow you to meet your short-term needs while allowing the more aggressive parts of your portfolio to recover over time. Now, this example that I have on the screen is not for you to take and replicate yourself. This is just a sample, but just understand that this is how you should be thinking about the systems you'll need in retirement. And the next one is not having any kind of safety buffer. When you retire, your portfolio's job undoubtedly changes from when you were working. Before, its job was just to grow as fast as possible, and now it has to do a lot more for you to continue to be financially independent. I recently did another video on how you should be investing the TSP or your other investment accounts when you have a pension like the federal annuity from FERS or other kinds of pensions that you may have. Oftentimes, federal employees can also have a military pension or a VA component as well. We'll put a link to that video in the show notes too. But the key here is that you should have parts of your wealth that are not subject to the same kind of risk that the markets will give you. The markets are a necessary part of the success of a retirement. They're a huge part, but they're not important enough if you get some of these other components wrong, like simply just having the right bucket allocation. Retirement is full of unexpected and one-time expenses, like your water heater needs replacement, or your dog has to go to surgery. All of a sudden your car dies and now you need a new one. Things will always go wrong at some point or another, and you need to make sure your wealth is set up to cover the variables of life. The next point is not understanding the difference between needs and wants. Another way of looking at this is what counts as necessary spending versus what counts as discretionary spending. This can be tough to distinguish sometimes because as your household income has grown, maybe you've gotten accustomed to dining out 4 times a week or getting a new car every 2 or 3 years, taking a lot of trips, enjoying your life. All of these things are great, but will you still be able to sustain these same kinds of lifestyle choices when you're no longer working? Remember, your income in retirement is finite. Your FERS and Social Security will continue as long as you're alive, and provided you get the survivor benefit pension, which for most people it's a really good idea, then your spouse will also get 50% of your federal annuity. These sources of income create incredible flexibility for federal retirees. But for most of our clients, their portfolio still has to do a lot of heavy lifting. And the difference in retirement is that your retirement paychecks come from this finite pile of money. Whereas when you were working, you had the safety of a paycheck always showing up no matter what. Now, I don't mean to discourage anybody from spending in retirement. In fact, we're constantly looking for more ways to be able to maximize the income that our clients can have in retirement. We believe that retirement is about enjoying your golden years and the fruits of your labor. So looking for ways to get more out of your money should be key, but you have to be smart to make sure that you remain safe throughout your life. Remember that every dollar spent is a dollar no longer working and growing for you. One way to help track this is to look at quarterly or maybe annual credit card spending reports from the credit card companies that you use. Then we can compare this to what does their retirement call for in terms of spending. Are they within the acceptable ranges? Do we need to shift portfolios to generate better income? Has their level of spending potentially put them in a higher tax bracket that now we need to address? These are some of the questions that you can be thinking about yourself as you look forward to your own retirement. I hope this was helpful, and we have a few spots each month for new families interested in working with us. So if you're a late career Fed or maybe already retired and you want to know how to apply, check out our website at thefedcorner.com. Until next time, stay wise and stay wealthy.